Shalom, Makayam, Shalom. Today we're going to talk about Esau. It's going to be about identifying who the Edomites are. Yeah, we're going to just go through a 60-minute one-on-one identifying Esau, the Edomites, how we know who the Edomites are today. Just like how we know who the Israelites are today, who the true children of Israel are, we're going to show you who the true children of Edom are, how we identify them. So before I start, without further ado, let me give all praises to the Father. Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah, Kodash, Tawada, Amen. And double honors to the elders of GMS, Elder Gabar, Elder Rakah, Elder Ramlab, and Elder Tahar. And double honors to all the camps on the highways and byways, bringing out the word in truth and spirit and sincerity. In the name of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, which is the name of the Father and the Son. Yeah, the true Hebrew names. Okay. So, we're going to go through identifying Esau, how we know Esau is literally, and how we know who Esau is through the prophecies, basically, yeah? So, we're going to go into Genesis 27, and we're going to pull out a few other scriptures just to show you how we know who Esau is. And then we're going to show you some things that, I'm going to show you things that are going to tie the left hand to the right hand and the right hand to the left hand. So, we know we're dealing about the Edomites. Now, as you know, we always tell you that not all so-called white people are Edomites, yeah? We've always told you this, that because Israel was scattered to the four corners of the world, some of Israel are mixed amongst the other nations, so look like the other nations. So some of Israel will look like what we know as so-called white people. Some of Israel will look like what we call so-called Chinese people. Some of Israel will look like so-called Africans. Some of Israel will look like so-called Hamites. So-called Japanese people. Hamites are the Africans, obviously. Some of Israel, would look like Indian, so-called what we know as Indian Asian people in the Far East there, because we were scattered to the four corners of the world. So we know the majority of Israel is of African American descent, all of those who are ancestors from slavery. We know they are all of those people, the indigenous Indians of North and South America and all throughout Canada. We're talking about the indigenous native Indian tribes. And we know it's the indigenous, those native tribes which people call Hispanics as well, through South America that are in Brazil, Argentina, Peru. They call them Argentinians or Peruvians or Venezuelans. But we're talking about the indigenous people. I always make this clear to you. I'm not talking about the Spanish that live in South America. Those who descend from the Spaniards, yeah, who went and colonized that place. So I'm not talking about the Spaniards in Argentina or the Spaniards in Peru or the Spaniards in Venezuela or Paraguay or Nicaragua. I'm not talking about the Portuguese that are descendants from the Portuguese that are living in Brazil, because the Portuguese are the ones that colonized Brazil. I'm talking about the indigenous Indians, the indigenous people who they call. Sometimes they give them the terms Hispanics, Latinos, they give them those names. I'm talking about the indigenous people from those lands in the continent of South America, from the Aztecs going down to the indigenous, the indigenous Mexicans. They call them Mexicans, but we're talking about the indigenous Mexicans that are indigenous to those lands. We're talking about those people there who are the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Those are Israel. We know that and we understand that. We let you know that. Those are how you separate them from the Spaniards, those who descend from the actual Spaniards, those who descend from the Portuguese, because those are Europeans. Spaniards are Portuguese. Spaniards and Portuguese are Europeans, sorry. Yeah? So we're not talking about those. But what we always say to you is that some of our people are mixed amongst the other nations. So a perfect example is this guy here, Stephen Graham. Stephen Graham, as you can see, if you looked at images of this guy here, you look at him, you just say, this is a white boy. Everything about him is a white boy, so-called white boy. You look at him and say everything about Stephen Graham is a so-called white man. Unless you know his history, you don't know who he goes back to. All right? So I've always known this. I've known this for over 10, 15 years who this guy was. Yeah? So when you look at him, I'm just going to show you here. His paternal grandparents, as you can see here. His paternal grandparents, all right? Let's just do that there. His paternal grandfather was Jamaican. Remember, it's all to do with the seed, the father, the male. That determines your bloodline, your heritage, yeah? Who you come from. Not your mother, it's your father. So just so you can see here, his paternal grandfather was Jamaican, right? His paternal grandfather was Jamaican. He's a black man. He's a black Jamaican man. That's Stephen Graham there. So, you know, his grandfather obviously married a white woman, because one of his grandmothers was Swedish, as you can see. So she probably was Swedish. And then their children, his father's gone on, the son that they've had has gone on to marry another white person. So, you know, after 2 or 3 generations, they look totally white. So I'm just letting you know that's a perfect example of when we say that there are some white people, and sometimes you know them, you know certain white people that their whole spirit is not of a white man. When it comes to them listening to certain music, how they behave, their behavior, their movement, their spiritual movement, when they're dancing to music, you know, how they react. You do know that. You can recognize these things as well, spiritually. You know, through the spirit, that boy, that brother there, he looked white, but nothing white about him. You know? So it's like I watched that movie, what was it called? There was a movie that I watched recently. It was called, it was with Matthew McGrath. It was called, shit, so if I can bring it up here. The movie was called, White Boy Rick. White Boy Rick. And if you ever watch this movie, and I always say I implore you to watch this movie, right? White Boy Rick. Watch this movie, and believe me when I tell you, the guy who's playing White Boy Rick, because this is based on a true story, right? White Boy Rick looked like Caucasian, is a so-called white boy, but when you watch the movie and you see them, they are reenacting the things that he did and who he was and how he hung out. Everything about White Boy Rick was a black boy. There was nothing about his spirit, nothing about him that said this boy was a white boy. He only listened to rap music, he only hung out with black guys, he only dated black girls, he spoke like a nigger, he walked like a black brother, he behaved like a black man. Everything about White Boy Rick told you, like your alarm bells will come on and say, yeah, that's another one where he's definitely not a white guy. So we tell you once again, and I would implore you to watch this movie, White Boy Rick, and even how the authorities dealt with this brother, what they done to him, make you know so that even they knew in their spirit that this is a black boy. He may look white, his father may look white, but this boy has the spirit of a black man. White Boy Rick was an Israelite. Let me tell you, watch the movie and you will see that that's another white boy, and this is based on a true story. So he's basing everything he's doing in this movie on the real White Boy Rick. And how the authorities dealt with him will show you straight away, will make you know that this guy is an Israelite, this guy's a brother. So that's another white boy that I said after I watched that movie, I said there's no way on this planet could that be a so-called white boy, could that be a so-called Edomite. That is a brother, that is a Israelite, right? So just like how Stephen Graham's paternal grandfather was Jamaican, I'm just showing you again that there are certain white people who, everything about them, and even when you watch this guy in his movies, you see, through his whole spirit, the last movie he made was called Yardie. Yardie, right? Yardie is a Jamaican gangster, right? That's the last movie he made recently. It's called Yardie. And you watch it and you'll see, and watch any one of these movies, you'll see that this boy has a different spirit. This is the same guy that played Al Capone in what do you call it? In Broadwalk Empire. There was a series called Broadwalk Empire. They cast him as Al Capone. And as you know, Al Capone was a Sicilian, which makes him a so-called black man, Al Capone. Al Capone was an Israelite. He was a Sicilian gangster. We know the Sicilians were what? They were born by the Moors, right? The Moors are their forefathers. The Moors were Israelites. And you look at these modern day Sicilians, they're dark skin, dark hair, dark eyes, and their whole behavior of their family, how they behave in their families, how they graze their families, how they're so family orientated. Everything about them shows you that they are just like Israelites, just like how a Jamaican family would be raised. All their characteristics of Sicilians are literally identical to a Jamaican family's characteristics, let me tell you, in every essence. But we know Sicilians were spawned by the Moors. The Moors are who were the ones that spawned the Sicilians. They conquered there and they ruled those places for over 1,000 years, the Moors. And we know the Moors are Israelites. So when we talk about Esau, we're talking about the so-called white man, absolutely. But we know who they are. And you know who they are through the Spirit. Right? And some of them you'll know who they are through if you know their history. But in general, yes, we are talking about the so-called white man, the George Bushes, yeah, the Dick Cheneys, the Bill Clintons, the Bill Gates. These are your so-called white men. These are your Edomites. Yeah, the Theresa Mays, the Boris Johnsons. These are your Edomites. Yeah, your so-called Jews, calling themselves Jews today. We know that those Jews are all Edomites. You'll be lucky if you find an Israelite amongst those so-called Jews out there in Israel. All right, so just so you understand when we're talking about Esau. So how do we know who Esau is? How do we identify Esau? How do we know who we're talking about, that Esau is, that the Edomite is the so-called white man? All right, so one of the first scriptures that you go to would be Genesis 27. 26, sorry. Start at 26, I believe. I went up too far. No, went too far. 25, sorry. So we start here. So we start at Genesis chapter 25, verse 20. All right. So this is how we know the so-called white man is the Edomite. All right, is the wicked who the Bible speaks of. All right. So we start here. So we say Genesis chapter 25, verse 20. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel and the Syrian, of Pandanaram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Most High for his wife, because she was barren. And Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. So everyone knows physically that the so-called black man is physically stronger than the so-called white man in every essence, in every sport, no matter what it is, whether it's athletics, football, no matter what sports you put us in, boxing and whatever it is, they are physically stronger than the so-called white man. So that's one of the greatest telltale signs that we know when it says we're dealing with 2 nations, yeah? And it says, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. So the first twin that was in her womb, that was struggling with the other twin in her womb, that was going to be of 2 different nations. Yeah, one was going to be stronger than the other. The first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Esau goes back to the Hebrew word Ayasha, which means wasted away. Why was he called wasted away? Because he had no melanin. He had no melanin in his skin. That's why it says the first came out red all over. That's why Esau was described when he was born. There would be no need to describe the color of your child when it was born unless he was born completely different to what the 2 parents looked like. So for instance, if 2 white people somehow, and the wife gave birth to a black child, right? To a child of color, when the husband sees that child, the first thing is say, that can't be my child because it's brown or it's black or it's dark brown or it's dark skin or it's got curly hair. You know, he would be describing things that he knows it can't be his child. That's what he'd be thinking, all right? So my point I'm trying to make here is that the reason why they made a point of telling you what the color of the baby was when he was born, because so-called white people do not have melanin in their skin. This is why they get things what they call cancer from the sun. Yeah, I forget what the actual name of it they call it. Yeah, they get skin cancer basically. Yeah, and they have no protection, no natural protection under the sun, which is why they buy all those sun creams to protect their skin when they go to places, or when they're under the sun, or if they're in a country where they live and it's sunny most of the time, or they get a great summer. They use sun lotions to protect them from the sun, because they don't have no melanin in the sun, which is the natural protection from the sun, and it's also an energy. It's a natural energy that recharges the body. Yeah, they don't have that. So this is why it's described right here. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. So when we look, if we go and we say, right, let's look at what a newborn white child looks like. This is what a newborn so-called white baby looks like. So when Isaac and Rebekah gave birth and the first child popped out, remember, these are two black parents. These are two parents of color, Isaac and Rebekah, all right? And when the first babies come out, they've called him Ayasha, Esau, which means wasted away, because he had no melanin in him. He looked like he was dead, in a sense, dying. They couldn't see. It was like, where's his color gone? They're looking at, mummy's looking at daddy, daddy's looking at mummy, Isaac's looking at Rebekah, Rebekah's looking at Isaac, thinking, where's the child's color gone? And probably that helped Rebekah understand why the children were at war. So when the next child comes out, it says, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel. So his brother was holding on to his heel, right? And his name was called Jacob, and they called him Jacob. And Isaac was 60 years old when she bare him, right? So Isaac was 60 years old when they bare him, right? So we know that straight away, like I say, they have no reason to describe what Jacob looked like. Why didn't they say Jacob came out looking brown or black or dark skin or whatever? Why? Because he looked just like his parents, who were of brown skin, either brown skin or dark brown skin. They were people of color. They were, what, for lack of a better word, they were Negroes. They were so-called black people. So they had no reason to describe what he looked like. So if a black couple, just like I showed you once, there was a time when this black couple that had 2 children, and one of them the last child they had was born Caucasian, right? And I think, let me see if I can find him. And that went on all the national papers. I think they were Nigerian couple have, and they was called an albino. Right, here it is. Perfect. So this is the Nigerian couple here. All right? They gave birth to a Caucasian child. Look at this, blonde hair. So this is a perfect example of Isaac and Rebekah. Now this went global, all over the newspapers, everywhere around the world. Everyone spoke of this, right? Yet they have, if I can show you a picture of the other 2 children that they got. These are their other 2 children that they had before. A little girl and a little boy. All right? This was their 3rd child. Came out Caucasian, Ayasha, Esau, with no melanin, blonde hair, straight hair. Not curly hair, woolly hair, like the son that they had, or the daughter that they got. So this went global. This was all over the newspapers when this happened, right? It says, look, it says, the news caught my attention this morning. Genetics experts have been amazed by the birth of a blonde, blue-eyed, white baby, right, to a black couple. Right? Doctors insist Tiny Nemanchi is not an albino. So it's not an albino child, what some people try to pass it off as. Say, oh, it's a guy. No. They gave birth to a white baby. This is the Most High showing you. And they're Israelites. Remember, they're Nigerians, right? From the West Coast. I'm not sure what tribe they're from. If they're from the Yoruba or Ibu tribe. I'm not sure which tribe they come from. But they are of Israel. Which means they would go back to one of the 3 tribes. Judah, Benjamin or Levi. They're from the West Coast of Africa. A lot of our people are still on the West Coast of Africa. These are Nigerians. And I believe that at this particular time, they lived in England. So If we look at, let me just see. It says, Dad Ben Igaburu, 44, a railway customer service advisor, said, we both just sat there after the birth staring at her for ages, not saying anything, right? Let's go back. It says, genetic experts have been amazed by the birth of a blonde, blue-eyed, white baby, so-called Edomite baby, to a black couple. Doctors insist tiny Nemanchi is not an albino. Neither of the parents has any mixed race family history. Just so you understand this. Neither of the parents have any mixed race family history. So that would be the same conditions for Rachel, Rebecca and Isaac. Of no family background that's got any mixed race family history in them. And the doctors categorically said this is not an albino child. This is a so-called white baby, right? So it says, Namenchi, whose name means beauty of God, in the Nigerian homeland of parents Angela and Ben, was born at Queen Mary's Hospital in Sidcup, Kent, right? So it was in England she was born. So I remember it's all over the newspapers. She doesn't look like an albino child anyway, not like the ones I've seen back in Nigeria or in books. Ben told the Sun. She just looks like a healthy white baby. Because that's what she was, she was a white baby with no melanin. What we know as a white child, she looked no different. This baby is no different from this newborn white baby here. Except this child was born to Edomite parents, while this child was born to Israelite parents. So just so you understand, when we're deciphering Genesis 25, verse 23, when it says, and two nations were in her womb, the two manner of people shall be separated from the bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days were to be delivered and fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy blanket, and they called his name Esau, which in the Hebrew is Ayasha, which means wasted away. Why was he wasted away? Because the child had no melanin in his skin. None. White child. This ain't no albino. She gave birth to a white child. So, we are the progenitors of the so-called white race. They come from us. They come from Isaac and Rebecca. Right? Jacob was Esau's brother. But just so you understand, Esau was a white, so-called white child, whereas Jacob was a so-called black child. Just like how you see this little young black boy here, so-called black boy here, and his sister, that was Jacob. This would be Rebecca. Sorry, this would be Isaac, that would be Rebecca. And that's Esau. Alright, so when the Lord can show you this in the last days, it's for those who know the scriptures and know that these things have happened recently. Kind of makes you know even more so that we're in the last days of the last days. We're in the last parts of the last days, because the Lord is revealing all these things now, showing you that these things that happened in the scripture before time are going to happen again now, before he comes. So this is a perfect example for you to understand that this child is a white baby, just like it says there. It says, Professor Brian Sykes, head of human genetics at Oxford University, said, in mixed race humans, the lighter variant of skin tone may come out in a child, and this can sometimes be starkly different to the skin of the parents. This might be the case where there is a lot of genetic mixing, as in Afro-Caribbean populations, but in Nigeria, there is little mixing. He said both parents would have needed some form of white ancestry for a pale version of their genes to be passed on. The hair is extremely unusual. Even many blonde children don't have blonde hair like this at birth. Just like I showed you this newborn here. Blonde hair at birth is exactly the same to this child here. So he says here, he says the hair is extremely unusual. Professor Sykes says, even many blonde children don't have blonde hair like this at birth. Some form of unknown mutation was the most likely explanation, he added. No, it's the work of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Professor. It's not no unknown mutation. It says the couple of Woolwich, South London, so that's just across the River Thames from where I am, have 2 other children, 4-year-old Chisholm and sister Dumembi too. Mum Angela 35 told the paper, the Manchi's colour doesn't matter. She's a miracle baby, but still, what on earth happened here? And the Lord, and the Most High curse you and give you an Edomite child, just to prove it to the world. It makes you think of when the disciples asked the Lord about the blind man. He said, what did he do in his past to have made him blind? Why was he blind? What was he being punished for? All right? Because they understood reincarnation. And what did the Lord say to the disciples? It wasn't nothing he did in his past. He was blind to testify to the miracles of the Lord, because the Lord was coming, Yahushua was coming to take that blindness from that person. So he was no longer blind. So he was there as a testament to the miracles of Yahushua, the Son of the Most High, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. It's not because he had done anything in his past. It was for that reason alone. Okay? So, just so you understand that. Right, so, we're going to keep going here, right? So, that's one of the telltale signs. So, the other telltale sign is this. And the boys grew up, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in the tents. So, is Esau a cunning hunter today? All right? So, let's look up some... There we go. Let's look up some facts on Esau. Is Esau a cunning hunter? So if we put hunters, all right? Animal. Let's see what it brings up. Let's see what images it brings up. I say it's animal hunters. Esau is a cunning hunter. There's a perfect one for you. Americans killed more wild animals, I'm not even sure what it says, more wild animals than anyone could have imagined. Americans, right? And he's talking about American Edomites, right? Cunning hunters. So Esau is a cunning hunter. So this is the second telltale sign. Esau, his Edomite wife, is a cunning hunter. Look at her putting her hands up to the sky like she's praying to the Most High. He cursed you for what you did. He cursed you. But you are a cursed people anyway. That's what you don't understand. You are a cursed people anyway. This is why you do these things. Alright? Esau is a cunning hunter. Look at this. All Edomites. Esau is a cunning hunter. All Edomites. This is what they do. All I typed in was animal hunters. So... you go back to scriptures and it says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in the tents. Right? So that is the second telltale sign that we know that these so-called white people are the ancestors of Esau. They are the Edomites today. Right? These Edomites were never done away with. They're still here today, and this is who they are. These are the wicked that the Bible speaks of. Just like I say, just look at what they're doing. Who in their right mind would go and hunt a lion for sport? So they can take a picture and have a trophy and say, yeah, I went hunting and killed a lion. That is such a wicked and cruel act. Such a cruel and wicked act. Lions hunting giraffes, antelopes, not for food, you know. For show. Hunting lions for show. Look at him with his son. This is Esau. That's why I said I can't wait for the Lord to come. But anyway, that's telltale sign again, so you understand that, all right? So, we're going to go to Genesis. Is it 27 I want? 27. Probably start at 26 somewhere, I think. All right. So Genesis chapter 27, 26. We'll go down here. Start at verse 30. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, so Jacob had just finished receiving his blessings from his father, right? And Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting, all right? From the same hunting. Esau's just coming from his hunting, what we're showing you right here. From the same hunting that we're showing you right here, Esau's just coming from his hunting, all right? It says that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made savoury meat and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that my soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, who? And he said, where is he that has taken venison and brought it me? And I have eaten of it all before thou camest, and have blessed him, yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceedingly bitter cry, and said unto his father, bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, thy brother came with subtlety, which was Jacob, and has taken away thy blessing. All right, and if you know the story about Esau and Jacob, Esau sold his blessing, his birthright to his brother Jacob for a bowl of meal, of lentils, or it was a hot bowl of meal. I think it was lentils. Now, after he came from hunting and didn't catch anything, his brother cooked him a meal and it wasn't even ready yet, and his brother said that he was so hungry. Esau said he was so hungry, he said, I'll sell you my birthright if you give it to me now, which he did. So that's why Jacob went in with subtlety to get the blessing from his father first. All right, anyway, so it says, and he said, thy brother came with subtlety and has taken away thy blessing. All right, and he said, is not he rightly named Jacob, for he has supplanted me those 2 times, because Jacob's name means to supplant. Okay, he took away my birthright, which is what he sold, which is what I was telling you about. And behold, now he has taken away my blessing. And he said, hadst thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do unto thee, my son? All right. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwellings shall be the fatness of the earth, which means the riches of the earth, right? The fatness of the earth, the riches of the earth, the fertile places where all the resources, everything is, right? And of the dew of heaven from above, all right? So when it says thy blessing shall be the fatness of the earth, it's talking, just so I can show you, like the fatness, the fat piece, the fertile places, the richly prepared food, right? So it figuratively, it means a rich dish, a fertile field. And that's what it is. It's the fertile lands of the world. This is why these Edomites went round to the 4 corners of the world and invaded and took control of all of the world resources. This is why they took over places like the Americas, Australia, New Zealand, all of Europe, the Middle East. All of these, when I say Europe, they came out of the caves from Eastern Europe into Western Europe, yeah? And then from there, from Europe, they went and took on all the fertile places. So they went and took on the places like I said, Australia, New Zealand, South America, North America, Canada. They control the fertile places in the East, which would be Russia and so forth. And they control most of the resources in other countries that have fertile places, like for mining, for gold, and for silver, and for platinum. You know, they went and colonized all of Africa and took control of all of the fertile places in Africa, like where all the oil resources were, where all the gold was, the places that were mining gold and silver and platinum, and all the places where they was mining diamonds. These Edomites, these Europeans, went and took and colonized all of those places and took control of them. Why? Because it was part of their blessing. So when we go back to Genesis 27:5, and the Lord says, And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, which is the riches of the earth, the fertile places of the earth, which they control now. They control all of these places, right? And of the dew of heaven from above, right? Which is like, that means like the cover. The dew is actually the you know, like the mist, the night mist, the water, the rain, but they control it all. Esau, these Edomites control all the resources, and even like all of the freshwater systems around the world. They control all of that. They control any bottled water you buy in the shop, right? Is an Edomite company that's providing it. Anything from its is it Avion? You've got Highland Springs. You've got I forget all the different names of the bottled waters. If I was to quickly just type in bottled waters, right, just so you can see, they control it all. All the water, all the fresh water systems, right? All the different mineral waters. Buxton, Harrogate. You've got here. Trying to see all the different bottled waters. Is it Evian? Yeah, let's have a quick. It's five best bottled waters it's got here. Let's just have a quick look. So you've got here Artisan Water, Crystal Gazer, Evian. That's the other one I'm thinking of. Evian. All the different bottled waters they control. All the dew, because the dew means the covering. If we look up the word dew in the Hebrew, and it says and of the dew of heaven, right, which is the waters that come from heaven. The dew is what waters the ground. It's the mist. That's what makes up the water. Okay, and I think in the Hebrew it means like the covering. Like here it goes, the dew, the night mist, right? It's that as the covering of the vegetation, right? Because that's what it is. It's the water. That's what waters the vegetation. That dew turns into water. They control all of that. So when we go back here again, and it says the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven. So if we was to, we know he's a cunning hunter. We know, whoops. We can close the bottled waters. So there was something here. Right, so I'm going to quickly read this out to you. It says the factors of production and resources that are the building blocks of the economy, because they control all the building blocks of the economy, which is the fatness of the earth. Right, the building, when it says here, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, right? Which are the building blocks of the earth, all of the minerals, all the resources of the earth, all right? So I'm going to quickly read this out so you can understand this, right? It says, the factors of production and resources that are the building blocks of the economy, they are what people use to produce goods and services. Economists divide the factors of production into 4 categories: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, right? And they control that all, right? They control all of that. They control the labor, the capital, the land, and the entrepreneurship. They control it all. The Edomites do, all right? It says the first factor of production is land, but this includes any natural resources used to produce goods and services, all right? This is why they go and invade these countries, take over these countries and take control of their lands, take control of their resources. They go and create wars, or they keep them in perpetual wars while they're gone through the back door using their private enterprise companies to control the resources in those countries by keeping, like Africa, the continent of Africa is a perfect example. If they can keep as many of those countries like in the Congo in perpetual war, they continue to steal and rob the greatest resources out of that country, which is cobalt, right? Which is the piece of black stuff that's used in every electronic device on this planet needs cobalt, right? All comes from the Congo, or I should say 70% of the world's cobalt comes from the Congo. So by keeping the Congo in perpetual war allows these Edomites to continue to control those resources. So it says here, it says, this includes not just land, but anything that comes from the land. Some common land or natural resources are water, which is the dew of heaven, right? Which is what I spoke about, the water. Oil, copper, natural gas, coal, and forest. Land resources are the raw materials in the production process. These resources can be renewable, such as forests, or non-renewable, such as oil or natural gas. The income that resource owners earn in return for land resources is called rent, right? And like I said, if they control the land, they control what's grown on it, they control They basically, even if they loan or lease this land out to you, they still own it. They still own the land in the sense that you have to pay them rent to grow whatever it is you want to grow in it. And then they can tell you what is you can grow and what you can't grow in it. But what Esau normally does is he just takes control of the land. Australia took control of the whole continent of Australia. Australia is one of the biggest mining places in the world for gold, for iron ore, for silver. One of the biggest mining countries in the world is Australia, right? In the Americas, they control all of these. Brazil, right? The mining places in Brazil controlled by the Portuguese, European, Edomite families control them. Those are the super rich. They control all of the mines, the gold mines in Brazil, the iron ore mines in Brazil. The same thing throughout the rest of South America. This is why Maduro is holding on so strong, because that's the last bit they need to take control of. They used to have control of Venezuela, and when Chavez came into power, he took back all the resources that were controlled by the Spaniards, the European Spaniards, the rich people that owned all those things. He took them all back off of them and took them back into government control. And Chavez is of the indigenous. They're the indigenous people of Venezuela. Those are what your Latinos, your indigenous Latinos. So Maduro is an indigenous Latino. He is an Israelite. It says, the second factor of production is labor. Labor is the effort that people contribute to the production of goods and services. Labor resources include the work done by the waiter who brings your food at a local restaurant, as well as the engineer who designs the bus that transports you to school. It includes an artist's creation of a painting, as well as the work of the pilot flying the airplane overhead. Right? It says, if you have ever been paid for a job, because we all have to work for these Edomites, right? As you know, right? All the major businesses are owned by these Edomites. It says, if you have ever been paid for a job, you have contributed labor resources to the production of goods or services. The income earned by labor resources is called wages, right? And you know that term when it says that you can't carry water in a basket? That's what the wages are like these days. It's like carrying water in baskets, right? So it says called wages, and it's the largest source of income for most people, right? Absolutely. That's what's keeping most people alive these days. The little bit of wages that they're getting. But like I said, the wages that people are paid today to buy the resources that they need to sustain themselves is like carrying water in a basket. Very famous term. Can't carry water in a basket. It says the third factor of production is capital. Think of capital as the machinery, tools and buildings humans use to produce goods and services. Some common examples of capital include hammers, forklifts, conveyor belts, computers, and delivery vans. Capital differs based on the worker and the type of work being done. For example, a doctor may use a stethoscope and an examination room to provide medical services. Your teacher may use textbooks, desks, and a whiteboard to produce education services. The income earned by owners of capital resources is interest, right? So it's like what banks do. They give you capital a loan and based on this fiat money system, and it's from the interest is where they're making all the money from the people, all right? The amount of interest that they're charging on top of these loans. It says the fourth factor of production is entrepreneurship. An entrepreneur is a person who combines the other factors of production, land, labor, and capital to earn a profit. The most successful entrepreneurs are innovators who find new ways produce goods and services, or who develop new goods and services to bring to the market. Without an entrepreneur combining land, labor, and capital in new ways, many of the innovations we see around us would not exist. Think of the entrepreneurship of Henry Ford or Bill Gates, right? So-called white man, Edomites. Like I said, this is their domain, right? They have the fatness of the earth is under these people. Entrepreneurs are a vital engine of economic growth, helping to build some of the largest firms in the world, as well as some of the small businesses in your neighborhoods. Entrepreneurs thrive in economies where they have the freedom to start businesses and buy resources freely. The payment to entrepreneurs is profit. Well, what these entrepreneurs do, they work alongside the governments to keep countries in disarray, or to keep your wages low in your countries, right? Or to keep the value of your currencies so low that they can come in with their currencies from these so-called European companies, these Edomite countries, whether it's England, France, Germany, or America, Australia. They can come in with their money and buy up everything in your country, because the currency in your country is that because they control the money markets, They control the money transfer markets, the exchange system, the money exchange systems. That in that money exchange system, that money market, your currency for your country will always be worth a pittance to theirs. So they can just bring small amounts of their own currency to buy large amounts of your lands and your properties, your buildings, everything in your country, because they made your currency of no value at all on the money exchange. It says, you will notice that I did not include money, because the bankers are the ones behind all of this, just so you understand, as a factor of production. You might ask, isn't money a type of capital, right? And it is, but listen carefully. Money is not capital as economists define capital, because it is not a productive resource, right? That's why I said to you, it is their fiat money. It's not worth anything, but because they choose that to be the currency of exchange, the currency of purchase, you have to use it. It says, while money can be used to buy capital, it is the capital goods, things such as machinery and tools, that is used to produce goods and services. Absolutely. It says, when was the last time you saw a carpenter pounding a nail with a $5 bill? All right, just so you understand. Or a warehouse foreman lifting a pallet with a $20 bill. All right, because at the end of the day, it's because they choose that to be the legal tender in your country or in the global system, while we use these fiat money, paper money that really has no true value. So the governments just continue to print them without no, what's the word? They print them relentlessly, and they give it a word, they call it quantitative easing. To quantitatively ease the burden on the population by printing the worthless money. So the more money they print, the less it's worth. That's why goods go up in the shops, because you have to use more of the same money to buy the same shit, because that money is worthless. It says money merely facilitates, just like I said, trade, but is not in itself a productive resource. Absolutely not. I don't think I need to read down more of that for you to understand that. So that's the other one of the telltale signs who we know the Edomites are, right? Then it says, and by the sword shalt thou live, and shall serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have thy dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Right? So it says, by the sword shalt thou live. So let's have a look again. By the sword. Weapon sales are on the rise. Here are the top 10 countries exporting arms around the world. So these are the top 10 countries exporting arms around the world. Right? So let's have a look. It says here, the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute recently published its 2017 Trends in International Arms Transfer report, which details the 25 largest weapons exporters between 2013 and 2017. It says the report, which also lists the 40 largest importers, found that international major weapons transfers increased by 10% in the last 4 years compared to 2008 and 2012. International weapons transfers have steadily increased since 2000. After having largely declined around the end of the Cold War, SIPRI reported, the report also found that weapons sales to the Middle East, Asia and Oceania, because the Middle East is where the World War III is going to kick off, right, have increased in the last 10 years, whereas weapons sales to the Americas, Africa and Europe have decreased, right? Here are the 10 largest exporters. Number 10, Netherlands, known as, today we know as Holland, all right? See, Dutch soldiers rest after the battle displaying a military training ground in Ruka, Lithuania, August 11th, 2017. So they're number 10, right, Holland. Number 9, Italy, all right? Number 9 on the list is Italy, another Edomite country. Number 8, Israel, right? As you know, the Edomites, as it says in the scriptures, a bastard shall live in Ashdod, right? So there's a bastard in Ashdod, which are these so-called Jews, these so-called Eastern Europeans, right? They're number 8 on the list, right? These Israelis, right? Another Edomite nation. Number 7, Spain, another Edomite nation, right? You're Spaniards, right? Number 6, the United Kingdom, another Edomite nation. Number 5, China. Whoa, so we got a break. So we got a Moabite country. That's coming at number 5. All right. So far, at the top 10, we've had one country that's not an Edomite nation, right? Which is China. Number 4, Germany. Another Edomite nation, right? Number 3, France. As you can see the Eiffel Tower there. another Edomite nation. Number 2, Russia, another Edomite nation. So-called white man. And number 1 is Babylon the Great. The great whore. That place that's spiritually known as Sodom and Gomorrah in Egypt, the United States of America, the number 1 Edomite nation. That's the Edomites HQ. So what does the prophecy say? His blessing was what? And by thy sword, which is your weapons, shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob. As you know, nothing's changed today. These Edomites hate us so-called black people. And I'm especially talking about the Israelites, who they know are the children of Israel. They hate all of those that they put into slavery, that were part of the transatlantic slave trade. They hate the North American Indians, who are the indigenous people, and the indigenous Indians of North and South America and throughout the West Indies and Canada. They did what? They committed genocide against them. Genocide. They literally wiped them out. They took us on slave ships from the west coast of Africa to the Americas, and then they took the indigenous Indians from the continent of America, North America and South America, and brought them to Europe and different places in Asia and in the East for them to serve as slaves for them, as servants and slaves for them. And they had us in hardcore slavery all throughout the West Indies and all throughout America. Who did that to us? Esau. Why? And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessings wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So did this not happen in the transatlantic slave trade? Was it not Esau that put us on these slave ships? Who did this to us? Esau. Edomites did this. Then they what? Then they brought us to the Americas. Esau did this. You see? These are Edomites that have got Israelites in slavery on their transatlantic slave ships, bringing us to the Americas. So when you hear Esau says here, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessings wherewith his father blessed him. That's happened all throughout time. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. This is one of the ways that we were slayed. Put on those slave ships. We were brought to the Americas. Sold as slaves. In their slaves market. Transatlantic slave trade. This is what happened to us. As a nation, we were taken and sold in auction blocks. As a nation. As a nation. Sold on auction blocks. This is what Esau did. So this is the hate. This is the part of the hate. Had us as slaves in their cotton fields. See Esau there? Weighing the cotton basket, make sure that they've picked enough cotton, that they've done exactly what their slave masters have told them to do. Otherwise they will be punished. All sorts of punishment they were doing. They were being tortured by these devils. So that's the hatred that he had for us, just so you understand. And then, so we're going to pull out a couple more scriptures here. So we showed you just so you understand that the sword is Esau. Genesis 36 and 6. And Esau took his wives and his sons and his daughters and all the persons of his house and his cattle and all his beasts and all his substance which he had got in the land of Canaan, and went into the country from the face of his brother Jacob. For their riches were more than they might dwell together, that the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle. So that was the beginning of Esau getting his riches. Back from the beginning, started from the day of Jacob. Thus Esau Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. The word Edom means red. Alright, the word Edom means red. Edom means red. Why? Thus Esau dwelt. That's what it says there. It says, and these are the generations. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. And if we go to the beginning of Genesis 36:1, it says, now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom, who is red. So who is this? If we go back here and we say, where is it going? That's what I wanted. No, sorry. There you go, all the newborn babies there. Get that one up here. Right? This is Esau. Just so you understand. Yeah, get another one up here. That was a perfect one we had before. So when it says Edom is red, and when we go back to it says, now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom, who is, let's close that, who is Edom, who is red. Because so-called white people are what? They are different shades of red. Not a single white baby is the color of that baby's hair, white and blonde like that hair or his blanket. None, zero. They're different shades of red. So, it says, the earth, Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So we know who controls the planet earth. It's the so-called white man. He's gone to the four corners of the world and committed genocide, murder, pillage, rape. So who else could the wicked be? We know nations have committed crimes against their own nation of people, but only one nation on this planet earth have gone from Australia to New Zealand to America, Canada, South America, to Asia, China, India, Japan, Pakistan, gone to the Middle East, whether it's in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, right? Gone to the continent of Africa. Only the white man, the so-called white man, the Edomites, have gone to the four corners of the world to commit their wickedness. So when you see Job 9:24, that's another telltale sign. It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So when you read something like this from NATO, it says NATO's operations and missions and past and present, because NATO is controlled by Esau. And Esau in America is the head of NATO. It says NATO is an active and leading contributor to peace and security. You got to laugh when you hear that on the international stage. It says it promotes democratic values and is committed to the peaceful resolution of disputes. You have to laugh when you hear that. NATO is a vehicle that they use to invade and pillage people's countries. It says, however, if diplomatic efforts fail, it has the military capacity, which that's what it does, to undertake crisis management operations. Crisis management. Every crisis that has happened around the world has been created by these Edomites. And then they use their vehicles, which is NATO, to go in there like they're some peacekeeper. It says it has the military capacity to undertake crisis management operations alone or in cooperation with other countries and international organizations. NATO, this is the front that they use. After they destabilize your country, then they send in one of their vehicles, which is NATO, to go in there to secure what it is they require out of there and to continue having your country destabilizing conflict while they're stealing your resources through the back door. Because the fatness of the earth is one of the blessings that Esau got. So he's come to get his blessing. That's what he's done. It's as simple as that. Got a couple more scriptures here. That's what it says there. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. he covers the face of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? There's a couple more scriptures here. Numbers 20, 14. It says, and Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom. Thus says thy brother Israel, thou knowest all the travail that has befallen us. That's after we came out of the land of Egypt under the oppression of the Pharaohs and Ramesses, yeah? How our fathers went down into Egypt. So Moses is making them know that, right? And we have dwelt in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians vexed us and our fathers. The same thing that's happening today in spiritual Egypt, which is the United States of America, right? And when we cried unto Yahweh, he heard our voice and sent an angel and has brought us forth out of Egypt. See, that's still to come for us, but this actually happened back in the days of the Egyptians and the Pharaohs, right? And behold, we are in Kadesh, a city at the utmost of thy border. So he says, this is what Moses is saying to the Edomites, because he knows that they are our brothers, right? He says, let us pass, I pray thee, through thy country. We will not pass through the fields or through the vineyards, neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right hand nor to the left until we have passed thy borders. And what does Esau say? Listen carefully. And Edom said unto him, thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come out against thee with the sword. And the children of Israel said unto him, we will go by the highway, and if I and my cattle drink of thy water, then will I pay for it. I will only, without doing anything else, go through on my feet. And he said, thou shalt not go through. And Edom came out against him with much people and with a strong hand. So this is why I said that hatred is here, still here today. Still here today. This is why the North American Indians they were massacred by them. They were massacred by these Edomites. Killing from the babies, chopping off hands, arms. This is what these Edomites did to the Native American Indians. They chopped off hands, arms, legs, everything as a punishment for not getting enough gold for these devils, for not getting the fatness of the earth for them from out the gold mines in South America. These are the crimes that they perpetrate against us. That hatred that the Edomites had back in biblical days is still here today, because the Edomites are still here today. They are your so-called white man. So all of these prophecies show you who the Edomites are today. They make you understand who Esau is. Why does this man have this hatred for us? Why does he see us driving a car down the street and just want to shoot us and kill us when they pull us over? Why do they always want to stop and search us young black men and not their own Edomite men? Why do they always look to imprison us when we commit the same crimes as the so-called Edomite white man? Why do they always want to give us twice the amount of sentence that they give us according to the white man sentence that they give them for the same crimes? Why are they always looking to fill up their jails with our people for lesser crimes than what their own people have committed, these Edomites? Why do they not? Why do they always put us in the worst jobs? Never want to promote you in their jobs. Always want to keep you to one side. Always want to keep it at a certain level in the workplace. Why did they steal all of our ideas and take them on and say they're their own? Why did they go and take all of the icons of the scriptures and all of the icons, the biblical icons and the icons going back to the times of the Dark Ages, right? And during the Renaissance, they did a thing called iconoclasm, changed everything from black to white. They call it iconoclasm. It's because they hate us, and that hatred goes back to biblical times. So when you see here, and it says that Edom saying unto him, thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come against thee with the sword. He's saying, I'm coming to kill you. So Jacob is pleading with them. He says, and the children of Israel said unto him, we will go by the highway, and if I and my cattle drink of thy water, then I will pay you for it. I will only, without doing anything else, go through on my feet. And he said, Esau replied and said, thou shalt not go through. And Edom came out against him with much people, with a strong hand. So that once again goes back to Genesis 27 and 35. Whoops. When he said unto him, "41, it says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob." And this is when we were slayed. Through slavery, through the transatlantic slave trade. We were slayed through this time here. When they put us on our auction, when they put us on their auction blocks. This is when we were slayed. Right? When they slayed the indigenous people of North and South America and Canada. The indigenous Indians, who are the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Esau's hatred and bloodthirst for his brother Jacob had never gone away. This is why we are being killed and murdered by these people on the streets of America today. And in every other country where we live in, they just see us as criminals, as the enemy, when we truly know that they are the criminals and the enemy and the wicked, according to the Bible and according to their deeds. It's not us that went to the four corners of the world and raped and pillaged and murdered and raped. It was these Edomites, these so-called white people, these so-called Europeans that committed those crimes. But yet they have the hatred for us. It's because it's prophecy. That's why. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessings, because we got the Lord's blessing. We got the blessing from our father. That was the blessing from the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, wherewith he blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, that was never going to leave him, that hatred. The days of mourning of my father. So he couldn't wait for Jacob to die before he could begin that tirade of hatred are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So this happened. When we're looking at this, this is when Esau spoke like this. And then 400 years later, 430 years later, right, that hatred hadn't gone. Because this time here in Numbers 20 and 18 is roughly 430 years later. Because remember, we was in Egypt for 430 years with Jacob. All right? So I'm just being conservative. This is probably about 450 years later. We was in Egypt for 430 years, the Israelites. Remember, Moses came out of captivity after 400 years of captivity. We was 30 years, we lived nicely under the Pharaohs. And when the Pharaoh died, who knew Jacob, who knew Joseph, which was Jacob's son. So this here is 450 years later. And we're saying to him, we're reminding him, we're saying, and Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom, which are the Edomites. Moses knows that these are our brothers. Thus says thy brother Israel. So we know that, we're acknowledging that. We know who the Edomites are. 450 years later, we know that they're our brothers. Right? This is after us coming out of Egypt. It says, thou knowest all the travail that has befallen us. So they know what happened to us in Egypt. We was under slavery for 400 years, the bondage, and that the Lord came and delivered us from the Egyptians. They know about that, right? So Moses says, how our fathers went down into Egypt, which is what I spoke about earlier. Jacob went down into Egypt. They were 70 at the time, all right? And we have dwelt in Egypt a long time, 430 years. And the Egyptians vexed us and our fathers. And when we cried out, Yahweh, he heard our voice and sent an angel, right? Which came and delivered us and has brought us forth out of Egypt from underneath the Pharaohs. And behold, we are in Kadesh now, a city of the utmost of thy border. All right. So we're pleading with our brother. All right. Thinking that the feelings that he had for us 450 years ago would have been gone. Check this out, people. It's what you must understand. These are two different times. All right. So the feelings that he had here 450 years ago. Right. Moses knows the history. So he's thinking that feeling is gone. That hatred is gone. When Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith the father blessed him, and Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So he's thinking that those feelings have gone. Right? So Moses is saying to him, he says, let us pass, I pray thee, through the country, and we will not pass through the fields or through the vineyards, neither will we drink the water of the walls. We will go by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right hand nor to the left until we have passed thy borders. Because it obviously was a shortcut. It was a quicker and a better and an easier route to take on our way to where? To Israel, to claim the land of Canaan, right? And this is Esau's response. And Edom, this is the Edomites' response, right? Said unto him, thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come out against thee with the sword. And the children of Israel said unto him, we're going to give it one more try. These are our brothers, man. They can't hate us, still hate us for 450 years ago. This is what Moses is thinking. We're going to give it one more try. It says, we will go by the highway. And if I and my cattle drink of the water, so we're not going to purposely drink any of the water, but if someone just happens to need some of that water while we're making that journey, it says, then I will pay for it. I will only, without doing anything else, go through on my feet. So this is Esau's response. And he said, thou shalt not go through. And Edom came out against him with much people and with a strong hand. Thus Edom refused to give Israel passage through his border. Wherefore Israel turned away from him. So we had to turn away and take the long route, the scenic route. We could no longer take that shortcut, that smooth route that had the fresh water and so forth for our people. So that was 450 years later. So what made you think by the time we got to the transatlantic slave trade, it was any different? That's why they did this to us. These are the Edomites. These are the Israelites. This is what they did to the Native American Indians. These are the Edomites. These are the Israelites. That feeling has not gone. That's why today is no different today. No different today. So if we say police shootings, it's no different today. No different today. Sorry. So images. Let's see if it's not better. Hands up, don't shoot. It's no different today. They're killing us today. See? Stop killing us. It's not, I don't know what people. This is what I say. If our people truly understood these scriptures, they would know why these things are happening. Because those are the Edomites. The so-called white man are the Edomites. And that hatred that they had to us for when Jacob got the blessing from his father Isaac, that hatred from that day has not changed up until this day today. So we're talking roughly 4,000 years ago, roughly we're talking. That hatred from 4,000 years ago, roughly, or 3,800 years ago, right? Has not changed. Nothing has changed. And I showed you a perfect example that when we was going through, we asked to pass through the King's Highway. That was 450 years after. Roughly, I'm giving you, estimating it. 450 to 500 years after Esau made that. When Jacob got the blessing from Isaac and Esau made this statement, Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith the father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Which means he weren't going to do anything to Jacob until his father had passed away. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So if between 450 and 500 years later, that feeling hadn't gone, during biblical days, after we came out of the bondage of the Egyptians, and this is Moses we're talking about, pleading with Esau, because he knows his brother. Moses says, and Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom, because he knows that those Edomites were our brothers. Thus says thy brother Israel. Then Moses says this, thou knowest all the travail, which is all our troubles and tribulations that has befallen us. Yet still he wouldn't let us through. He said, it's coming down on us with the sword. What he says? And Edom said unto him, thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come out against thee with thy sword. So that same sword that he controls today, right? It's the same sword that's used to kill our people in the Americas. Whether it's in South America, in North America, whether it's in Europe, through the West Indies, we're being murdered by these Edomites. Just so you understand. Stop killing us. Stop killing us. Just so you understand, people. So, I hope you understood. I didn't want it to be this long, but the Spirit just took me that way. I hope you understand, once again, who the Edomites are, why they have this hatred for us, why they kill us with impunity, why they will imprison us with impunity, why they put us through the transatlantic slave trade with impunity and have no regrets for it. Why they committed genocide against the North American Indians and indigenous Indians from South America, from Argentina to Peru to Brazil to Venezuela to Paraguay to I forget all the countries in there, to Dominica, all throughout the West Indies, Jamaica, Barbados, all the Tanios and the Arawak Indians from Puerto Rico. Why they committed these heinous crimes against us? Because Esau has this hatred for us that goes back to biblical times, and nothing has changed from back then to today. This is why today they continue to kill us with impunity. I hope you understand. So on that note, people, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashim, Yahushai Ba'ashim, Rakah, Kodash, Tawada, Amen. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai. Double praises to the Father and the Son. All praises. Shalom, Akayam, Shalom.